Hi, and welcome to Hair with Claire. I'm your host, Claire Devereaux. I'm a trichologist, a stylist, and founder of Hair Health Essentials. Join me every week with my guests where we talk about big hair, short hair, loud hair, quiet hair, shedding hair, wedding hair, everything in between the nasty and the good, and where you can find out how to have a good hair day every day. We're going to unlock the secrets to healthy locks. Welcome to Hair with Claire. I am your host, Claire Devereaux, and I have another fabulous guest for you all this week. Her name is Charlotte Hunter, and she is a nutritionist, but not any kind of nutritionist. She's a nutritionist who specializes in helping women going through perimenopause and menopause. And she's joining me all the way from Surrey in England today. Charlotte, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. What's the weather like over in the UK today? Is it sunny?
I've got a lovely view at my window, but it's just all misty, so I can't really see very far. And
Misty, misty Surrey.
cold. Yeah, misty. Yeah. And we know what mist does to you when you've got curly hair as well.
Mine's already doing all this today, and you've curly hair like I do. Although mine is probably not as curly as yours, but it's pretty curly. And yeah, the humidity just it kills it. I'm like fuzzball, so it's not great for us curly girls. But
No.
first of all, tell me about you. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you became a nutritionist.
So I've been a nutritionist for about 13 years. And I really got into nutrition, like, I suppose a few reasons, but like most nutritionists, you've got your own sort of baggage or health baggage. And you think, you kind of, turn to nutrition to see if that can help you. So I think there's probably an element of that. But also, even when I was at school, I'd always been interested in nutrition, but just went down a completely different path. I studied history, museum studies, worked in museums, had a brilliant career. And then just decided to change it all 13 years ago. And I was really lucky. I started working in a chiropractic clinic, also in Surrey. And I just had a full clinic of people. And it was everything from children to older people. And I was really lucky just get lots of experience working with lots of different people. And then over the years, I think, as your life changes, your interest in different areas change. And, as my hormones started going a bit wonky and a bit wrong in my 40s, I started to notice that a lot of my clients were also going through the same thing. And really what got me into the menopause nutrition was going through a hysterectomy when I was 44.
Oh, wow.
So that was 4 years ago. And I've really just concentrated on menopause ever since. And I don't really work with anyone now if they're not going through menopause. It's exclusively working in that area, which has been absolutely brilliant.
Wow. Okay. So that's what your background is in that. I was wondering why you decided to focus on that. And now I know why. So that must have been quite traumatic actually going through a hysterectomy so young.
Yeah, I think it was. But people say it's funny, because I get two views on it. People will say, wow, that must have been really traumatic. And then other people say, God, you took the easy way out. You didn't have a really bad perimenopause, which is an outrageous thing to say. But at the time, I didn't think of it like that because I was really unwell. I had endometriosis, PCOS, adenomyosis, pretty much everything except fibroids. That's probably an easier way of putting it. So actually a hysterectomy was just one great big relief.
Yeah.
As soon as I woke up from the surgery, I thought, oh my goodness, that was just the best thing I could have done. And I just felt better straight away. I mean, I know there've been ups and downs, and sorry, that's my printer deciding to suddenly talk to me.
Wow. Well, I suffer with endometriosis as well. So I totally understand that it's probably been a massive relief because, I'm not going to lie, it hasn't crossed my mind every now and then that it would be easier sometimes. But did it put you straight into menopause?
It did.
And what was that like, your body going from that to that? What was that like?
So I think psychologically, I just felt so much better because I wasn't in pain, discomfort, constantly worrying and stressing about my horrid cycles. But then physically, it hit me like a train. And I remember, I was given HRT, I got started quite quickly, but I remember in those first couple of weeks, I just felt like my knees joints were, made of glass, just so painful, and crazy, crazy hot flushes. So people would come around to see me, and I say, you can come visit, but I'm in a dressing gown and a vest, and I may remove the dressing gown at any given moment without warning. so just beware, it won't be pretty.
Yeah.
And it took a while. I think it's probably taken me, 3 years to nail my HRT and nail the supplements that I take and how I care for myself. And it's not a quick fix. And, sometimes I think because, we're at the mercy of our hormones and they're changing from, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, month to month, everything happens, when it's down to hormones. That, I have good days and bad days. But I think that's, menopause for everyone. And that's life for everyone, isn't it? It's not just menopause.
I think it's life for everyone. And as someone who has suffered endometriosis, I really find that I think your diet does definitely help. And I think your lifestyle helps, because I think exercise helps. And I think stress levels can make it even worse, to be honest with you. But I think did you find that you looked at your diet a lot more when you were going through those bad cycles before you had your hysterectomy, or did you? Right.
I mean, I think doing what I do, being a nutritionist, I think you've always got food on your radar anyway.
Yes.
And I think certainly when you first start studying nutrition, you pretty much try every crazy diet out there, or you suddenly decide you need to exclude all of these foods or try all these supplements, and you're just constantly sort of on this treadmill, I guess. But I think the longer you're in practice, you work out quite quickly what works for you and what supports you and what you need to take and what you should avoid. And I think that's just a natural learning curve, I think, of being a nutritionist, but also being a woman who's going through the different stages of her life as well.
Yeah. Well, I see, as a trichologist, I see a lot of women obviously going through perimenopause and menopause and suffering with hair loss and dry hair. And also an awful lot of women and young girls as well who diet like these yo-yo diets, crazy diets. So they've gone on some crazy diet, or they're training for something, and then 6 months later all their hair is coming out, because the diets are just so extreme and their body never really gets a chance to kind of get back on top of that. So going through every age, really, I know you focus mostly on menopause now, that's what you focus on. But I mean, what would you say to most women, even when they're in like those teens and in their 20s, what do they need to be looking at? What do they need to be doing and be aware of in their diet?
I think there's probably two big areas, and that's the first one is relating to your blood sugar.
Right.
So, keeping the sugars down, honestly, it will make such a difference to your cycles now, but also in the future. Okay. And even if you're way past menopause, you really need to focus on the amount of sugar that you're eating, because we naturally become worse at handling our sugars. We don't hear the signals from our insulin. We don't hear, we're not able to access that, those carbohydrates in the same way. We're just not as efficient, I guess that's the best way of putting it. So sugar's a massive one. The other one is, I suppose it's related to sugar, is just stop snacking.
Okay.
We don't need to snack. Human beings don't need to snack. We should be eating 3 meals a day, but 3 proper meals. Okay. And if I think back to my parents and grandparents, I mean, they didn't snack. They'd have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner. That's it. Occasionally they might have supper if they were, having a cup of tea later in the evening or whatever they might be doing. But there was just none of this snacking. I think that's the biggest issue we have, and it's a really unpopular thing to say, because we all like going out for coffees and having cakes and flapjacks or smoothies or even healthy stuff. You look at like little peanut butter balls with various things mixed into them. That might be a healthy food, but snacking on it isn't great. You're better off having your meal, having your protein balls or whatever you're having with your meal, or your bar of chocolate with your meal. But even if you do absolutely nothing else to your diet and you simply eat 3 meals a day, you'll notice big differences to how you can manage your blood sugar, your energy, and you'll just feel better. Okay. It's not a very popular thing to say, like I said. but it works.
Being healthy is difficult in a lot of ways for a lot of people. And it really is, I suppose how you start off with your habits when you're younger, I think is very important. And I see that you're a fan of a cooked breakfast. You don't like porridge. I saw that on your Instagram.
Porridge always
I don't like
up.
porridge either. I don't like it. My daughter loves it. My little girl loves it, but I don't like it. Even the look of it, I don't like. So you like cooked breakfast. So run me through what you think most women should be eating, definitely when they're going through perimenopause, menopause, because you're focused on that area. What do you think women should be having as a diet? What would be a normal day for you?
So this morning, I had some rye toast with just, that really skinny stuff that you get. I can't remember what it's called. My kids hate it. Just a slice of that with some avocado, a couple of scrambled eggs. I had an apple and I had a cup of rooibos tea.
Very good. Okay.
And that's it. And that will keep me going through to lunchtime. I'm not saying never eat porridge.
No, you just don't like it. I don't like it either. So it's,
I think there's better things you can eat, because people say to me, but I've got my porridge and I have my soy milk and I have my coconut yogurt and nuts and seeds and I have my protein powders and blah, 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 blah. I was like, but it's still porridge. It's still a massive great loads of stodgy carbohydrates that your poor body has got to work its way through.
Okay.
Just, you're likely to have that insulin peak and that glucose peak. But actually, and sometimes I think people get a bit misled with the porridge thing, because they think, I wear my continuous glucose monitor and it doesn't shift my glucose at all. It keeps me going. I feel fabulous. Well, you might feel fabulous because you're on a great big sugar high from your porridge, but you don't see on those glucose monitors how much insulin you have to pump out to get those carbohydrates, out your system.
Yeah, okay. So that's a good way of looking at it. What about fruit in the morning? A lot of people like to have berries and like natural yogurt. Do you like that as a breakfast?
I think you can. And I think with things like yogurt, you've got to make sure you're eating enough of it, because people I have yogurt and berries. And I have yogurt and berries.
Right.
And I might have some goat's yogurt because it's really thick and fatty and creamy and lovely.
Okay.
But you have to have like half a tub. The normal size, the big cartons. A couple of spoons isn't going to cut it. You're not going to get much protein from that. You're not going to get a lot of fat or anything. So you need to have like half a tub of that yogurt with your berries. And that's going to keep you.
We're doing it all wrong, Charlotte. We're doing it all wrong. So that's why I have you on to tell us what we're doing wrong. So what about lunchtime? What would and do you eat regularly? Do you regular times?
I do, yes. So I leave 5 hours between meals.
Okay.
So I do a program with my clients. It's a one-to-one thing, hopefully going to be a group thing at some point. But part of that is to space out your meals and leave 5 hours between each meal, because that is, the perfect amount of time for your body to reset, recalibrate, and get ready for the next meal. It's quite difficult to adjust to, because we're so used to snacking. And people say, oh no, I need to eat little and often. No, you don't. That's the worst thing you can do for your body. We're just, we're much better if we have a proper size meal.
Okay. Well, makes sense. So lunchtime for you then is like what, 1 o'clock or something?
So I'll have breakfast about 7:30. So about 12:30 to 1, I'll have lunch. And then my dinner, I'll eat at the same time as my kids. So sometime between 5 and 6.
Okay. What is lunch normally for you then? What do you normally have for lunch?
So today, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to have today. I've got a chicken breast. I've got a salad. I've got a big pile of sauerkraut going in there. Olive oil. I love sauerkraut.
Oh no, I know. Oh no. I know it's really good for you because it's really good.
Get on board with the sauerkraut,
right? Yeah. No, it's just the look of it I don't like, and the name of it I don't like either.
Buy some in the supermarket. You can get some quite nice ones. You don't have to, do all that faffing about yourself. There are some quite good ones. But you can get red cabbage ones. You can get them with different herbs in. And or kimchi or something. It just gives it a nice. It just gives your salad a bit more kick.
Okay,
I'll
try.
And then I just chuck loads, whatever's in the fridge will just go in my salad.
All right. And then
Might some
for
fruit as
dinner
well.
then, for dinner as well, then do you have like, so you obviously prep your meals, you're very organized. Are you very organized for the week? Is that half the key of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to help, isn't it? I mean, I think it's planning, or just having a vague idea. I mean, sometimes my meal plan isn't, doesn't list every single thing. It'll just be, chicken, salad, apple, and then dinner, tonight I'm having salmon with stir fry. But they're decent portions.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not, it's not just like a little tiny pile of veg. It's like a great big massive pile of veg, but just lots of healthy oils as well.
And what about if you're going out for dinner and stuff? Do you allow yourself a little like room? Yeah, you're good like that. So eating later or going out for dinner. If someone says we're going out for dinner 8 or something, is that like, does that mess up your kind of day, do you think, with your eating, or do you feel that's fine every now and then?
Fine. I think when you find your groove, you can then, you can be flexible. But I think it's worth really focusing on your diet for 2 to 3 months and get some routine and bring in some new ideas and challenge the way you've always eaten, and then you've got that opportunity to be more flexible. So on Saturday I went out for a massive Thai lunch. Stuffed myself silly.
Right, okay, yeah sounds fabulous.
So I'm not one of those like weird nutritionists that won't eat out. And I mean, I have been known to take boxes of food to people's houses, I'll admit that. But there's got to be some degree of flexibility. But I think as well, when you go through menopause, I think your view of your diet changed, or certainly my view of my diet has changed a lot, because when I feel good, I want to hold on to that.
Right.
Because I know what it's like to feel really rough. And my big thing, my big menopause challenge is probably migraines. Just a nightmare. But if I'm very, very, very careful with my diet, how I'm eating, and I stick to my plan, I do what, everything that works, I don't get the migraines. But as soon as I sort of start going, I'll just have that coffee, or I'll just have that ginormous muffin because it looks really nice, or let's go and have those fish and chips for tea, it starts feeling, it creeps back. And I'm busy, I've got 2 young children, I run my own business, I have other jobs. I mean, I'm spinning 500 million plates by the sounds of it. So I've got to feel well. I've got to have a clear head. I've got to be able to concentrate. I have to be able to sleep. I have to be able to get up early for the kids. I've then got to be taxi driver after school. All the things that we all have to do. And eating well allows me to function well.
Yeah. I mean, when women come to you, is there one main thing that they have a problem with? Like, I know you do, I think, is it a midsection over? So
yes.
tell us about that. Is that about, obviously, women going through more belly fat and stuff like that, and they're finding it hard to shift? Is that what this program helps with?
It is. Okay. And it was interesting. I mean, I've talked about migraines, but the other thing that I noticed with my menopause is that I've always been slim. I mean, I've been the same weight, I think, since I've been about 13. Nothing's changed for me. But since going through menopause, I noticed that I'd suddenly become skinny fat. I was really slim, but I just had this like great big muffin top. I'm like, oh my goodness, where has this come from? What's happened? And it's a weird one, because we can go into all the science of it and the, our imbalances between our estrogen and our testosterone, and the our reduced ability to handle sugars. There's all the scientific stuff we can talk about. But when it happens to you, you just sit there thinking, well, why me? This is so unfair. I'm doing everything right. I'm exercising. I'm ticking all the boxes. Why do I still feel like this? Because it just makes you feel rubbish, especially when you just haven't had this before. And I suppose, from my angle, I suppose I'm talking, from a skinny fat point of view. But then also, we have women who have struggled with their weight in the past, and they hit menopause and it just goes mad. It's even worse. So I have put together a program which is Menopause Midsection Makeover, bit of a mouthful. But it's about teaching women how to eat better, again, for their for their bodies and what they need. So it's based on a series of blood tests. It's a diet personalised for you. And then, you know, we coach you through that for 3 months, really just to get you, I suppose, invested in your own health and engaged with the whole process, and also to help you feel better, really, you know, and not just physically, mentally feeling better about your body shape. And I think it's so easy to go through menopause and be told, well, you know, shit happens, you know, you're going to put weight on around your tummy, you know, your metabolism changes or your metabolism slows down. Oh, no, you can't do this. But really, there's no reason why you can't. It's just a bit harder, you know, because our metabolism does change. But it doesn't mean that you can't change it or adapt to that, or, you know, find ways that work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So after 3 months, do you feel that most women have gotten into new eating habits, that everything is a lot, you know, it changes a lot for them?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's feeling that sense of control rather than feeling like the food is constantly controlling them, you know. And I think so many mixed messages, you know, don't eat gluten, don't eat dairy, don't eat this, don't eat that, eat, you know, drink buckets of collagen drinks, you know, do the Zoe program, don't do the Zoe program. You know, I mean, it's the same messages that I hear from women over and over again, you know, wondering what they can do and just chasing the next solution. But unfortunately, a lot of those solutions just don't work.
Right. So what are the most common signs? I mean, you also have an ebook, I see, as well, on what to expect when you're going through menopause, right? So what would you say to women listening at the moment? I mean, do you think ignorance is bliss? Obviously, probably not. You probably think, no, what's ahead of you. I feel ignorance might be bliss with a lot of this. But anyway, I see so many women going through hair issues. Obviously, a lot of hair issues are hormonal. You know what I mean? Even, you know, my first product line was with postpartum hair loss, and that was obviously hormonal. And the next one is for women going through perimenopause and menopause. So a lot of it is got to do with hormones. But what I say is, do you think, are there like a couple of things that you think everyone should know? I mean, if you were to say to your friend, what would you say? Well, this is, you know, this is what I really feel. Get yourself ready for.
I think it's I'm trying to think about what women say to me, because I think it's very easy to make it all about yourself, isn't it? But I think in terms of the ladies I work with, it is the tummy fat,
really,
you know. And I think if you really work on your sugar intake, your frequency of meals, you know, all the things we've talked about, you know, that can really help with that. Also the energy fluctuations, a lot of women complain to me about, just feeling high as a kite at one moment and then flat as a pancake the next, you know, and those changes in their energy and just feeling burnt out.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of women, when a lot of women get to even perimenopause or that menopausal stage, they're going through so many other things in life. Usually they have got a family that they're looking after, young children. They also possibly have parents that are getting older, and then they've got the stresses of work and everything else that you're trying to juggle on top of it. And I think a lot of women get very depressed, to be honest with you, with the change in their body and really not knowing how to cope with everything. So I think having someone like yourself to talk to and talk about your diet and really to change the way you look at things, I think is actually very, very important. I thought it was very fascinating when I came across your Instagram. And also, you know, you work obviously with a lot of supplements. So on the supplement front, I mean, obviously with hair, there's a huge buzzword with biotin and things like that. And I'm always quite against when someone comes to me with hair issues straight away. I will always get their blood work done first, because I feel like I would never suggest someone take supplements when I don't, like, people are, oh, iron. I have to take iron because obviously my hair is weak. I need to take iron. But sometimes you have too much iron, and you need to know where you stand, first of all. You need to go to your GP, I always feel, and get your blood work done. So would you feel similar before you recommend supplements, or do you think there's something that everyone should take? Like vitamin D, obviously we can all benefit because we don't get enough sun here in Ireland or England, really. So are there certain things that you think, like a multivitamin that's good, or that you don't need to go and have blood work done, that it's not going to affect you in any negative way?
Yeah, I mean, I've recently launched my own supplement, with a company called New Mind Wellness. And I suppose what I liked about their approach is that I originally got involved with them because they have a stress support formula. And I was using it with a lot of my menopausal clients, especially the perimenopausal ones, because it was an all-in-one, solution for stress.
Right.
And they spoke to me earlier this year and said, well, look, we've noticed that a lot of our customers are actually menopausal. So what can we do to tailor this more for them? So I worked with them. We've added an extra capsule into the formula. But the way that I work with supplements, and I completely agree with you, getting your levels checked at the GP, your iron, your vitamin D, B12, really important. But I think in a general sense, I sort of don't like menopause supplements. I think that's why I wanted to make my own, because they're full of things that many women just don't need. So they very often have things like sage in. The research is hopeless around sage and menopause. Black cohosh, again, not very good research. I think phytoestrogens can be helpful in some cases for some women, some of the time. The list goes on, but I think the very menopause-specific ingredients, especially the herbals, just don't work very well in practice. And the research is really questionable. Okay. So what I want to do is create a product that really looked at the foundations of menopause. So blood sugar, which we've mentioned, stress, which we've mentioned, and also inflammation, which can be, another thing that builds up around menopause. So the ingredients are all about supporting those areas, which I think are common to most women, whether they're in perimenopause or even they're postmenopausal. So within New Mind, there's a little sachet, and you get magnesium, which is great for stress, muscles, relaxation, and loads of other things. Adaptogens, which are herbal support for stress, and also some flower remedies as well, which are very calming. There's a multi in there, which contain vitamin D, really important. B complex, great for stress, energy, and vitamin C, all the usual suspects. And then the menopause capsule has got some really, really special ingredients in it. So we've got saffron, which is brilliant for your mental health. It's very calming. It's maybe possible to have some links with hot flushes and menopause symptoms. But also lots of ingredients about supporting blood sugar response. So chromium, alpha lipoic acid, the antioxidants, which we need lots of in menopause, and aging as well. I hate to say that, but down to aging as well. But it is just a one-stop shop for menopause, and you can take with HRT, without HRT. There are very few medications that react to it. But what I'll do is I'll send you a voucher, a code. So if you wanted to share that with anyone listening, I'm sure they'd be quite happy, 20% off. Yes. And we ship anywhere, so that's not a problem.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
But I think in terms of supplements, question what you're buying. What are the ingredients going to do? What are the claims? What are the promises? What are my individual symptoms? Are they hot flushes? Is it anxiety? Is it joint pains? Not being able to sleep? You have to think about why you're taking a menopause supplement, because many of them are just full of herbs that haven't got very good research around them. Yeah. So my view in supplements is to work big picture. So looking at those foundations and supporting that, rather than going in with individual ingredients for individual supplements, because that's never going to help your menopause. It's like diet. It's mad to think you can eat more of one certain food to support your menopause. You'd send yourself mad. You're much better off having like a generally good diet, loosely based around menopause. Can't get my words out. Loosely based around the Mediterranean diet, so lots of protein, healthy fats, vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants. Leave your 5 hours between meals. Drink plenty of water. Exercise, and you can't really go wrong.
Wow.
when you can, and when it goes wrong, you can come to me and I can sort you out. But generally speaking, that's
anyone listening. If it
people.
goes wrong, go over to Charlotte and she will sort you out. So Charlotte, let's talk about, obviously it's hair with Claire. So let's talk about hair a little bit. So you have curly hair, you've told me. So what do you, I mean, when women come to you, do the stress, I find the stress causes, that's really the biggest thing I think that affects patients that come to me and women that get in touch, obviously hormonal as well, but stress. I mean, the world is so stressful at the moment. So with you, have you ever had any hair issues, or is it just that the humidity has your hair out here? Is it the only hair issue that you've had?
Yeah, it's just I went to Mexico on holiday in the summer and I had big hair for a week.
Lovely. Monica, did you ever see that one of Friends?
Yes.
Where she goes, is it Hawaii? And she goes, actually, it looks pretty fab. And she goes the whole time. Sometimes it's good to embrace that. I mean, you know, sometimes it's good to kind of embrace the curly, you know, the whole curly thing, right? Because I don't do it enough. I don't do it enough, and I should do it more. But so that's your only thing. You've never suffered with your hair in any other way.
I mean, I think when straight after my hysterectomy, I had quite a lot of hair loss.
Yes.
And it was terrifying. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to go bald. What am I going to do? I'm losing all my hair. I mean, it's complete overreaction because, you know, I had plenty of hair to start with, but I did notice just at the front there, just looking really sort of thin. I remember going to the hairdressers, and you know, when they sort of pull your hair up when they're drying it, and you kind of see through your hair, but oh my goodness, I can see my scalp. Where's it all gone? But I think, I mean, I think I was just being over dramatic, perhaps.
No, but I don't think so. I don't think you're being over dramatic, because it happens to so many women, particularly after
it did just feel thinner. I mean, I've got really fine hair, and it's wavy on top. So, you know, when it is straight, it actually feels really thin. I feel like I don't have a lot of hair. And then when it kind of like fluffs up again, I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was thinning, and it was a lot drier, I think. Yeah. But again, it's, as I said, you know, it took me about 3 years to get my HRT sorted, and it's probably taken 3 years for my hair to get its groove back again.
Yeah. Well, it's just affected. I mean, and any kind of operation, even going under anesthetic, affects your hair. A couple of months later, it won't happen straight away, but it's that shock to your system. It always happens about 4 or 5 months after something very significant like that. And then it takes another probably 6 months to get back. But if you are trying to sort out an underlying problem like your HRT and trying to sort out things like that, it will really take until you've sorted that out for your hair to get back to normal. It's really like your skin, everything else. So it affects everything. But I do think that with curly hair is very in at the moment. So I feel like you do need to embrace that, Charlotte, if you're, you know, maybe get away from the other kind of smoothing it out if you don't like it so much, and embrace the curly hair.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well, I think most photos of me on Instagram have either got my hair out or it's tied up, where it's that, I think, you know how you see those girls with really, really beautiful, thick curly hair and have those lovely coils and curls. I always look like, as this is a friend said this to me, she said, you look like the love child of Hagrid and Hermione on a night out. I was like,
there you go.
Not quite sure what to say about that, but when I get up in the morning, I'm like,
you said that was a friend said that, Charlotte.
That was a friend. But you know what? She's sort of onto something, because I looked in the mirror like, yeah, that's about right. So it's usually a bit crazy. So
you use product though in your hair, like when you're leaving it to curl? Do you use anything like a serum boost or anything? Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yeah, but I think because my hair's very fine, I've got to be careful, because all of the curly hair products are just too heavy.
I'll have to develop one for you.
Yeah.
I'll have to be natural and light. I'll work on my own hair first. I'll have my, and then I'll send it over to you. Right? That's something in the making.
Excellent. I'm dying for someone to create something for not thin, but fine wavy hair, rather than, you know, all the curly products.
I'm on
it. You put it on, it's like, so my hair's gone kind of like weirdly straight, and this is meant to make my hair curlier.
Yeah, or crispy. I find that a lot of them make hair crispy, you know, like they dry like little hard, which isn't very nice, because you want to have that fabulous flowing locks. So that's something I have to work on for you. Tell us also, do you also train other nutritionists as well in this area? Is that something that you do?
Yeah. So I've got my Menopause Mastery membership, more M's, more of a mouthful. And it's a training and mentoring space for the practitioners. So it can be anyone, not just nutritionists. We've got coaches in there, health coaches. We've got some doctors, nurses, osteopaths, acupuncturists. We've got a really good range of people in there. So we have different webinars on different subjects. We have guest speakers, networking, a lot of discussion online. We've got a really lively Facebook group. And it's just a really fun space, and it's not really expensive. I didn't want it to be prohibitively expensive for your average practitioner who is everyone's struggling at the moment. With all the living cost. I couldn't get that. Cost of living crisis. That must be like some kind of my brain trying to make me not say that.
Yeah, you're blocking it. Which
absolutely.
is I'm blocking it too.
Yeah, so it's just trying to be inclusive to everyone. So it's quite affordable, and there's loads of resources, and it's hopefully a nice supportive space for everyone involved.
Good, just so they can check all that out. So are you busy this month because it's World Menopause Month, and obviously the 18th of October is International Menopause Day. So have you anything lined up for this month? Have you anything that you're going to be?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a giveaway of New Mind Wellness with some other goodies. So we're going to make a nice little menopause hamper. So that's coming over the next week or so. Also got some lives coming up. In fact, I can't really remember. There's quite a lot of stuff coming up, but I can't remember what it is.
Okay, fine. They can keep up with you on your Instagram anyway.
Yeah, it'll be on there. I mean, I think my Instagram knows more what I'm doing than I do myself. So that's a sad state to be in.
So I'm going to go back now from this, and I'm going to make sure I'm eating 5 hours between my meals, and I'm going to get even healthier. So the next time that we talk, I'll be just like, wow, Charlotte, I'm not snacking.
And no porridge, obviously.
Well, I don't like porridge. That's not going to be a problem for me at all. But tell me this, I ask everyone when I'm wrapping up my little chat, do you have a hair personality? Because I kind of believe that everyone has a hair personality, maybe different ones at different times in their lives. So right now, have you got what is your hair personality, Charlotte?
I would say it is, I think just go with the flow, just don't stress too much, just let things be, just go along with things. Yeah, just take things as they come, not get too stressed. And I think that's kind of like what my hair's like, I just let it do its thing. And I think I do that in life as well.
Well, that's
so I'm quite well aligned with my hair at the moment, I think.
I like that, aligned with your hair. I do like that.
Yeah.
We all need to be more aligned with our hair, although I don't know what that would say about me because I change it every day. But anyway, it's been so nice to talk to you. Can you tell everyone where they can find you, what platform you're on, what your handler is on Instagram?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram. I'm a Menopause Nutritionist. So that's nice and easy. And my website is charlottehunternutrition.co.uk.
Oh, amazing. Charlotte, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to be changing all my ways. We're probably going to have so many questions about this, but I will be putting all your information up as well, so everyone will be able to get in touch with you. And I hope you have a fabulous hair day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.